What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Will Weekly. Today I wanted to do something a little bit different, a little bit informative. I wanted to talk about Vimeo on Demand, or some people call it Vimeo Pro. I just want to give you my experience using Vimeo on Demand. I made a feature-length film a couple of years ago called Changing Diego. So before I talk about Vimeo on Demand, let me give you a little bit of background about the film that I did. Feature-length, 2-hour romantic comedy. We filmed it here in New York. And we did it with a micro budget. We did a feature-length film for less than $2,000. Believe it or not, we used the equipment we had. I had a camera, I had some sound equipment. I did it with a couple of buddies of mine. Somehow we just made the movie happen, even if we had a very small budget. So after the film was done, we rented out a movie theater in New York in Manhattan, and we screened it. We had our big premiere in Manhattan, and we actually kind of made our money back in terms of the screening because we sold it out. We promoted it everywhere, promoted it on social media, and we sold out the screening. And with that, it was a big theater, so we had that place jam-packed, and we kind of recouped our money because it cost like $2,000 to make the film. Then after that, we took it to film festivals all over the city. We had it at a couple of festivals in New York, and it went pretty well. So after that came the part of distribution, which I really didn't know a lot of distribution companies. I've heard of like nightmare stories where people kind of give their film to distributors and they barely ever see any money back. Or I heard stories where like the writing, the legal, the contracts are very complicated. And I just didn't know any distribution companies at the time that could really get my film out there and that I could make a profit from the film. So I decided to go with Vimeo on Demand. I heard about Vimeo, I had a Vimeo account, and then I heard that Vimeo on Demand was doing this thing where you could rent out your movie and set the price that you wanted. So I found that very interesting. So I said, you know what, let me try to self-distribute my film through Vimeo on Demand, and I gave it a shot. So this video, I want to give the pros and cons of Vimeo on Demand, the good, what I thought was really good, and what I thought didn't work for me in terms of Vimeo on Demand. So I hope this is an informative video for you guys. So let's start with the pros. Vimeo on Demand, they have a really nice template for filmmakers. So the page, they give you a page and it looks really professional. You could add whatever artwork you want. You could add your trailer, the synopsis of the film. They have share buttons so you can share it on social media. So I like the way it looked. It looked legit, it looked sharp, it looked very professional, and I like that template that Vimeo created for films to self-distribute your film. And also what I liked about it is that most filmmakers have to spend a lot of money to create a website, even though you could get one on Wix and stuff like that, but it takes time to make it look good. With Vimeo on Demand, you really don't need that much time to plug in all the artwork and everything to make it look legit. And if you have a Vimeo on Demand page, you really don't need a website, because you also don't want to confuse your audience, send them to the website or send them to Vimeo on Demand. You don't want to send them to too many different places because they're going to get confusing in terms of advertising and for your audience. Another thing that I liked about Vimeo on Demand is that it doesn't take that much time to set up the page. Once you sign up, you go through a process of filling in all the information you need to get the page started, artwork, trailer, synopsis. But all that stuff you should have already if you did the whole film festival process. Is stuff that you probably already have in terms of tagline and all those other things. So pretty much what I did is I just pretty much copy and paste everything that I already had from submitting to film festivals. So it really wasn't that big of a process. Another thing I like is that they don't make you jump through a lot of hurdles to get this page going. For example, right now I'm submitting the film to Amazon Streaming, and with them, they require closed caption. So right now I'm spending another $110 just to get the whole film closed caption. So stuff like that, Vimeo on Demand really doesn't ask for that, or a lot of legal hurdles. Also, let's say, for example, YouTube, I uploaded the film to YouTube, and they're giving me all this copyrighted stuff on music when I purchased the music for this film. So Vimeo really doesn't do that. It doesn't make you jump through a lot of hurdles, and there's really no complicated or roadblocks in terms of getting your film uploaded to the page. The process is not that bad. Another good feature is that you get to keep 90% of the revenue in terms of rentals or downloads which I think is very fair. On top of that, you also have to pay taxes and stuff. So let's say you make $10. Let's say you sold the film for $10. They keep 10%, and then you also got to pay taxes and stuff like that. So out of $10, you're probably making $7.80, something like that. But the margin of what you keep, I think overall, compared to other options, is very fair. Another thing I liked is that it's highly customizable. What I mean by that is that you can really customize how much you could ask to rent the film, what the price, you could really set your own prices. You could also set the duration of time in which people could download the film or rent the film. People could rent it for 1 day or 1 year. It's all up to you. People could download the film directly. So it's highly customizable. It's really up to you what you want and what you want your audience to be able to do with your film. And you could even set your own price as well. There's really no like templates as to what you should do or any rules as to what you should do. It's all up to you. You can name your price and you can pretty much say how long people can rent the film for, and it's really up to you. So I really like that. Another option that I really like in terms of the interface, they give you a lot of data. You could pretty much tell where people are watching the film, where people are downloading and renting the film. The analytics of it, the tools that you have are really good. What I thought was really cool is that when I started getting rentals, is that I could see people were watching the film in Africa, in Europe, in Asia. You know, we promoted the film all over the place, so we were getting, and I know people from different continents, so we were getting rentals from South America, Central America, my hometown, Costa Rica. So it was good to see all this information, all this data, and it helps you know if the marketing is working and where it's being the most effective and where people are finding your film and watching your film. Another thing I liked is also the codec. The film looks great. You know, Vimeo is known for keeping the high quality, not compressing the film too much as compared to, like, let's say YouTube, where they have their own compression and films really get compressed a lot and it loses a little bit of quality. With Vimeo, your movie looks great, and especially in that template and on your page. Overall, it just looks very polished. Everything, the whole setup of the page and the way your film looks, it looks legit. So like I said, if you have Vimeo on Demand, you kind of save some money in terms of having a website, because you really don't need to have a website if you have the Vimeo on Demand page, because you can put as much information as you want on that one page and it looks clean. All right, so I just mentioned a whole bunch of good things about Vimeo On Demand. Now let's talk about the things that kind of bothered me that I didn't expect, and I wish somebody would have made a video like this to kind of let me know what to expect with Vimeo On Demand, the things that they don't tell you in the advertisements, and the things that kind of bothered me overall. All right, so the first thing I didn't like so much is the Vimeo On Demand user interface, you know, where you're filling out all your information and going through a whole process. Even though it doesn't take that long, is not that user friendly as compared to, like, let's say YouTube, which is very easy to navigate. You know, it's very easy to upload your films and to fill out all the information and to tag your film. The user interface Vimeo On Demand is not that intuitive, and it's very easy to get lost with the whole interface and all the different pages that they have. So I wish that would have been a little bit more user friendly. Overall, I found myself getting very frustrated at times, trying to tweak everything and try to make sure I have everything to get the film ready for upload and for viewing. So it was kind of frustrating, especially since I'm very comfortable with YouTube and other websites, and I'm pretty computer savvy, and I'm pretty used to opening different accounts with different websites. But this one, in terms of the whole process of filling out all the information that you need and tweaking and making adjustments, it was not that user friendly at all, and I found myself getting really frustrated at times. Even though it didn't take me that long, it took me like 2 days to fill out everything I needed, because like I said, I already had all the information about the film from submitted to film festivals, but I just found the whole process very frustrating because of the layout of the user interface of Vimeo On Demand. Another thing I came to realize about Vimeo is that is not nearly as well known as, like, let's say YouTube or Amazon. So when we were promoting the film for people to go, once I had it all set up, when we were telling people to go to Vimeo, it seems like people, that your average person didn't know too much about Vimeo, and they don't have an account. They hadn't set up an account. So we promoted a lot on social media and a lot of different platforms. We emailed all our contacts to let people, inform people that the movie was on Vimeo. But it made me realize that people are just not that, that Vimeo is not that well known overall. Vimeo is more for people that are in the field, that are producers, directors, actors, people that are already in the field, know about Vimeo, which is a much smaller market than, let's say, YouTube. YouTube, you know, you have a lot of casual viewers that just go to YouTube for anything, and there's people that can just find your film on YouTube by mistake, or find your content on YouTube by mistake by doing a search. Well, Vimeo is totally different in that people are not really doing searches, or people are not really finding you by mistake. People on Vimeo either go to your page because you advertised it and they saw it, and that's pretty much the only way, but they're really not going to find your stuff any other way. I know Vimeo has their staff picks, but it's very hard to get on that list. There's very little films that get picked as the staff picks, and unless you're advertising it well, unless people really know about your film and are diehard followers of your work, it's going to be very hard for people to find your film on Vimeo. Also, since a lot of people don't know about Vimeo, pretty much only people in production, I found that once people got to the Vimeo page, you know, there was a whole process of, they had to sign up, they had to create an account for Vimeo, they had to give all their credit card information, and even though people might have wanted to see the film, they hesitated, and a lot of people didn't finish the process of filling out all the information they needed to do in order to rent the film. So overall, there was just too many steps for the audience, or people wanting to watch the films, to do in order to get to the point where they can actually watch the film. As opposed to, like, let's say YouTube, where a lot of people already have a YouTube account because they have a Google account. You know, what's good about YouTube is that, you know, most people have a Gmail. There's a lot of people that have Gmail. So that whole step of creating an account really a lot of times doesn't exist with YouTube, because most people already have an account with YouTube. And, you know, let's say if you were to have your film or rent your film on YouTube, it'll be much easier for people to go ahead and process the payment, or process or get to the point where they rent the movie, because they already have an account and they don't have to start from scratch. With Vimeo, you kind of, like, viewers have to go there, find the page, and then go through this whole process of creating an account and then putting all their credit card information in there. So it's a lot of different steps for people to do before they can actually watch a film, which I think translated into a lot less people actually renting a film on Vimeo. The next thing that kind of bothered me about Vimeo On Demand is the cost for Vimeo On Demand Pro. So yearly is $200, which might not seem a lot for self-distribution. And like I said, you know, that money that you would have spent making a website, you pretty much can have it on Vimeo On Demand and just consolidate that. But when you think about it, at first it doesn't seem like a lot of money. You're like, all right, I'll spend $200, but I'll probably make that back with rentals. But then when you think about it, you know, what if you want to have your film in there for 4 years? What if you want to keep it there for 10 years? You know, that all that money really adds up. And you could, you know, the next 4 years, you could be spending $800 to have your film on Vimeo. And really, your film is going to make the most money the first year, because that's when you're really going to advertise it really well on Vimeo. After that, you know, some people might try to find it on Vimeo, but after the first year, is a very low chance that you're actually going to make some money from Vimeo On Demand. So that money that you could be spending on Vimeo, that money that you would spend on Vimeo, you could be spending that on making another movie, especially if you're a micro budget director like me. I pretty much made the film with no money, you know, like I said, less than $2,000. So if I have that movie on Vimeo On Demand for 10 years, that's like half the budget I could have used to make another film. So if you're like a micro budget filmmaker such as myself, you know, that money really starts to add up, and you really start to think about the return on investment. All right, and one of the last things that really bothered me about Vimeo On Demand is that after a year, I decided not to sign up for another year, a second year of Vimeo On Demand. So I canceled it. And once I canceled it, I wanted to go back to my regular Vimeo account. Well, they made it very hard for me to go back to a regular account. Every time I tried to sign in, they kept telling me I had to pay another $200 for another Vimeo Pro year membership. And I told them, I actually called customer service and I let them know, listen, I don't want another year of Vimeo Pro. And they said they're going to work it out for me and they were going to reset my account to a normal Vimeo account. And that never happened. So it was kind of frustrating in the sense that they kept kind of being pushy about, trying to get you for another year of Vimeo Pro, even though I didn't want it. So that for me was a big turnoff. I felt like they were being very pushy in terms of trying to get you to sign up for another year of Vimeo Pro, which I didn't want. So that was the things that really bothered me about Vimeo Pro. Now, overall, like I said, there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad. Would I do it again? That's the big question. If I make another feature-length movie, which I'm writing another feature-length movie right now, would I submit it to Vimeo Pro? And the answer is no. And I'll tell you why. You got to think about the return on investment. Like I said, I spent $200 for that yearly membership. And even though I marketed it all over the place, I had a following for the film. When we had the premiere, we sold out. That's how we mainly made our money back. But when it came to getting people to go to Vimeo to watch the movie, it was really hard, guys. It was really, really hard because, like I said, a lot of casual viewers don't know about Vimeo, and a lot of people did not want to go through all the steps that it took to actually rent the film. Like I said, creating an account, putting in all their credit card information, finding the film on Vimeo. It was just way too many steps, and I didn't see the return on investment. It cost me $200 for that 1 year, and even though we had some people rent the film, it was very low, and we didn't make our money back. I didn't make my $200 back. So overall, it just wasn't worth it. And then after a year, even though I promoted so much for people to go to Vimeo to watch the movie there, so all that investment in terms of marketing, it probably would have been better if I went another route, maybe with Amazon streaming or YouTube, where, once you get to 1,000 subscribers, you can rent your stuff on YouTube. So I wish I would have, focused more of my marketing energy on something else that would have lasted me longer than a year. And that's free. Like for example, if you do Amazon streaming, you really don't have to pay for it. I mean, there's bad things about that as well, which I'll make another video about Amazon streaming. So make sure you subscribe to this channel so you guys could watch the next video I'm going to try to make about Amazon streaming. But that's another video. So anyway, back to Vimeo On Demand. Overall, I wouldn't do it again, but that's just my experience. And I've spoken to other filmmakers and other directors and DPs, and they kind of have told me similar stories. And overall, the response that I've gotten is that Vimeo is just not what it used to be. People are not as excited about Vimeo as they were like maybe 6-7 years ago. And people are kind of like focusing in terms of distribution in other ways, such as Amazon and YouTube and smaller distribution companies. So overall, like I said, for me, it didn't work out. If somebody asked me about it, I wouldn't recommend it for all the reasons that I stated. But like I said, that money that you're going to spend on Vimeo On Demand, you could probably use that to start another film, because filmmaking is very expensive and you got to really think about the return on investment. What I see a lot of filmmakers do is that, they max out their credit cards, making their first 2 or 3 films, and they're really not thinking about how they're going to make money off their films. And what happens is that since you're not making money and you're going more into debt, then it comes to the point where you stop making films. You don't make any films anymore because you owe family money, you owe credit cards money, and then you kind of run into a wall. So you really got to think about the return of investment. You really got to think about it as a business. How are you going to make money off your films? What's the best way to get your films out there, to distribute your films, to possibly see some kind of return on investment, to see some profit? And that's very important. As a filmmaker, you got to think about how are you going to make profit off of this film. And with that being said, Vimeo On Demand for me, was not the best way to make profit off of my film, to really get a return on investment. Well, that's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think about this video. I hope it was helpful. I know this video is very subjective because it's pretty much my story. What happened with the film that I made, Changing Diego, which I'm going to have on Amazon pretty soon. And I'm going to make another video about that. Maybe some people were successful with Vimeo and managed to make some money off of Vimeo, but that just wasn't my story. If you do have a success story, leave me a comment. Let me know. Let me know about the information that I gave you. Was it helpful? And maybe I was wrong. Maybe I did something wrong with Vimeo, but that's pretty much all the things that I found with Vimeo On Demand. Leave me a comment. I want to hear from you guys. Hopefully this helps somebody out. And like I said, I wish I would have seen a video like this when I was getting myself into Vimeo and when I was thinking about signing up for Vimeo. Because if I had this kind of information beforehand, I probably wouldn't have signed up for Vimeo On Demand and saved my money and saved my time and energy trying to distribute my film in some other way. So guys, thanks for watching. Please press that subscribe button. I'm going to try to make more informative videos for filmmakers. I hope you found this one informative, and I hope this one helps you out in terms of deciding how to distribute your films or whether you're going to do it with Vimeo On Demand. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. See you guys on the next episode. Peace out.